In the Netherlands, a court has convicted 3 men in absentia for their role in downing Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 over Ukraine 8 years ago. They include 2 former Russian intelligence agents and a Ukrainian separatist leader. A 4th defendant has been acquitted. The passenger jet was shot down over eastern Ukraine, killing all 298 people on board. An international investigation established the plane was hit by a Russian missile that was fired from territory in Ukraine that was held by pro-Russian separatists. Some of the relatives of the victims were present at the courthouse. Here's their reaction.
I feel relieved. I feel like the process has come to an end and it's been very fair and it's been meticulous and it's been thorough and the evidence has been weighed, and I feel like for those who want to hear, the truth is out there. The sort of stuff that we knew all along, but now a court has gone through a fair process and has ruled.
And you've got to remember, while we were in court today, we still have to go home and sit at a dinner table without our loved ones, and I think that's never going to go away, that feeling that, you know, no matter what a court says or what happens in court, that's still always going to be the case.
I personally want to see Russian not just held to account, or not just the people on trial today held to account. I want to see the Russian Federation held to account for MH17, but more than that, held to account for the entire war in Ukraine, which so many thousands, millions of people are suffering on account of.
Our correspondent Barbara Wesel is at the courthouse in the Netherlands and she joins us now. Barbara, this trial started more than 2.5 years ago. That's a long wait for justice. What was the reaction there as the verdict was read out?
Of course, the first reactions of some of the relatives who have now stepped outside the courtroom in order to talk to the media are a kind of relief that justice, in a way, is done, even though the 4 accused were not here in the courtroom and may probably never go to jail. We don't know this. However, 3 were sentenced to life. Arrest warrants were immediately handed down. And so they can, for the foreseeable future, not leave Russia because they would be arrested wherever in the world they turned up. For the time being, they are safe there. And that, of course, is an aspect that some of the relatives here say still hurts them because they would, of course, want to see them go to jail. However, justice has been done in a way, maybe in a rather abstract manner, but this Dutch court has really tried to lead the fairest trial possible under circumstances, to sort of weigh the evidence very carefully, to very carefully think about the chain of command in 2014 in eastern Ukraine and the personal responsibility of the accused. And this is the result that we just heard.
Now, what more can you say about the verdicts themselves?
The verdict, of course, was based on a chain of evidence that was rather difficult for the Dutch court to assess, because some of it was open source. That was like telephone calls between the accused that have been monitored at the time. There were satellite images, how the Buk missile that was responsible for or that was, functioning as the missile that shot down the flight MH17, where it was moved from, where it was moved to, and who had the command over those rebel militants there who were active in the area at the time. And so 3 of the defendants have been now found guilty, that they were in fact the commanders who did have responsibility for what happened in the area, had responsibility for moving this missile, of course, with the intent to shoot down military planes, Ukrainian planes. But by accident, they shot down this passenger plane with its 298 people on board. All of them died, as we know, and still they are responsible for what happened at that point.
Barbara, you've been following this story closely for more than 8 years since that fateful crash. Now, since they will likely never go, the 3 that were sentenced will likely never go to prison, what kind of closure will this bring to the families?
It is for some a bit of closure. Some say they are satisfied with it because they have seen that a criminal court has very carefully considered the evidence in this case and said, yes, they're guilty, they're responsible. So justice has been done, a verdict has been spoken. So if that satisfies you in your mind and soul, then this is a step maybe for healing the wounds that were really inflicted 8 years ago. For others, however, it means still that they say these people will never go to jail. We don't really expect it. And also, the most important point, nobody, no court in the world, and nothing can ever bring the relatives that they lost. And there are many tragic cases of people who lost their whole families, a wife and 3 children, for instance, some of them on that flight, and whose life more or less has been destroyed. And this court here, even though it tried to be as objective, as fair, and do the best legal job it could, can never bring them back.
Barbara Basel there reporting from Amsterdam. Thank you very much, Barbara.